another episode of Unblinded, Real Raw. We are like trekking through, I think this is like episode 60 plus, and we're back. And not only are we back, like the curation of people in these calls are just rising, the level of which we're learning. And for everyone watching or has watched before, it's like, what are we doing here? And this is what we're doing here. One, we're getting to know each other, and we're showing you what it looks like to have a dinner, a grouping, a meeting with some pretty awesome people. Number two, we're displaying that influence is a superpower. And two people today, they're going to compete, and someone's going to win, and someone's like not going to win. And it's going to be a competition of who can go from hello to yes in the most effective way. So Vivian, what is going on? Sean, welcome. I see you rarely in a short sleeve shirt. That's interesting to me. Like, what's up as we kick off this Real Raw?
What is up? Just departing the ocean a few moments ago, taking a quick break. I was on a beautiful phone call earlier today with one of the amazing, actually multiple of the amazing people here. So thankful for that. And integrity-based heart-centered influence is a superpower, right? Integrity-based heart-centered influence is a superpower. It is present here. It is present amongst these people. It is present in your life watching out there. It is present, and we're gonna like raise our level of mastery at it today, and then talk about maybe a little bit of what we do with it. So I'm super grateful, Fernando. Beautiful energy to kick us off as a true master student of integrity-based influence and trainer in it. And Vivian, thank you. You bring like goddess, love, peace, presence, incredible fun. Like what's happening with you? And let's take us in.
Everything is wonderful. I'm just so excited to be here. I'm looking at Chuck's face. It's filling my heart. He's so smiley. So let's talk about Chuck, right? Chuck Hogan is a certified neurostrategist and a Tony Robbins senior trainer. He has over 20 years of experience helping individuals, corporations, organizations live their best lives. Chuck knows the satisfaction of drive and commitment and the benefit of living in one's gifts while setting new standards so that the forward progress and momentum that come from a Thrive mentality with a full heart can compel anyone to new heights. It is Chuck's calling to assist anyone who is committed to growing and attaining new levels of progress, fulfillment, and happiness. Welcome, Chuck.
Chuck, I see you light on fire, rooms of 10,000 plus people, 20,000 people, hundreds of people, everywhere in between. What drives you, brother?
It's real simple. Life is about sharing and giving. And when you've been given an opportunity to touch someone, not in the words that you just speak, but actually in your presence and how you show up energetically, a simple smile, a nod, a wink, how you show up, living in your true energetic, authentic self is a gift. And there's zero judgment. And so when you show up as that person anywhere, not just up on a stage, but as a husband and father, as a businessman, as a friend, as a cohort, it's the easiest existence I know, Sean.
Authentic, emotional, and energetic transference received, brother. Thank you. That is awesome. Really. Welcome. It's an honor and a privilege, Chuck.
Pleasure.
Yeah. And Vivian, he's not alone. We have
No, he's not.
Yeah. What's happening?
We have David Bruno. He has this beautiful background, the Bianchi Law Group, looking spiffy with a tie and a suit. He is ready for television, and there's a reason for it. He is a Fox News legal analyst, a national TV legal analyst that has also appeared on over 200 national media places and appearances. He's a former assistant prosecutor with the Morris County Prosecutor's Office with experience on the trial team and in the major crimes unit. He's recognized as a certified criminal trial attorney by the New Jersey Supreme Court since 2012. And he's one of approximately 250 out of 98,000 New Jersey lawyers. A national legal analyst with and the bonus fact is that he's also a dad to Madison and Mason. That was so cute.
David, brother, thank you. National TV appearances, a micro fraction or a fraction of a 1%er as a certified criminal trial attorney. It's an honor and privilege. And how are you, David?
I'm well, Sean. Thank you for having me. I'm excited. You know, this is a crazy time in this world, and I am enjoying it with my family. I have a great law partner that you know, Bob Bianchi, and we're doing great things out there, not only in the legal atmosphere, but also in the mindset. It's important that we all bring energy and great mindset to this conversation, and I'm ready to roll.
David, that's awesome, brother. And very few law firms give out books in the space of intention, personal development, and growth. And to your clients, you guys do that. And I know you've done a lot of work, you and Bob, and it's an honor, brother. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Sean. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So Vivian, and we have 3 incredible judges today. Who do we got?
Yes, we do. We have Bob Zach from New Jersey sitting comfortably on his couch. He's a CPA that's specializes in forensic accounting and matrimonial matters, owner of Robert Zach CPA. Bob valued Sean's law firm in 2003, and you know Sean for over 17 years. And you're a golfer and also a pool player.
I am.
What's up, Bob Zach? So let me tell you, Bob Zach. Hey, Chuck, we like unique facts, right? About people.
Yes, sir.
And they say things. So if I were to tell you that Bob Zach was a former professional pool player who beat, are you ready? The #1 pool player in the world at the time in tournament competition. Like, think of that. That's like if, Serena Williams, when she was #1, we had somebody participating who beat Serena Williams when she was #1. Like, Bob Zach beat the #1 professional pool player in the world in tournament play. So Bob is a master, obviously. What say you, Chuck, about somebody who beats the #1 person in the world at anything?
It tells me a lot about commitment and a thriver driver mentality, but also trusting in your own gifts. When someone can actually step in, irregardless of what the competition looks like, and they can step into it and own it, that's brilliant. So congratulations to you, Bob.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and Bob, so I will share this also, David, and the rest of our wonderful team here today. Before I lost my vision, I fancied myself to be a very strong pool player. I had played in amateur tournaments, and I had won them and had a lot of success. And then I made the horrifically embarrassing decision to play Bob Zach in straight pool, which was my game. And I watched Bob, I don't even remember the number, run like 60 or 70 balls in a row, like rack into rack into rack. And I was so dramatically outplayed. It's the only time in my entire life that I was ever on a pool table and felt completely outclassed and overwhelmed by Bob. But not only did he do that, yes, we tell the stories of me building and selling my first law firm. Bob Zach valued that law firm, was a part of the process of me selling it back in the day. And Bob, you came into my training and development program back in round 1 of this in 2004-ish. So thank you, brother, for being here. And like, what are you doing here? And what's the difference between like the 1.0 version of the program and 2.0 from your seat?
I haven't really gone through the program at all. I just received a call from someone from your office and asked to be a judge. So that's what I'm here to do. Okay.
And how did you benefit from program 1?
Oh, program 1, I benefited the relationships that I made throughout through the program with the other participants, and also the tools that I learned that you had taught me to go to generate business and to succeed at it.
That is awesome. You know what I'm hearing, Bob? In case anybody ever watches this and you're cross-examined on trial on a witness stand, Bob is keeping his answers very succinctly, cross-examining tight. Am I hearing you correctly, Bob Zach?
You are hearing me correct. And one other thing, though, Sean, is that when we did play pool, before we played pool, we went to the batting cages. And you showed me a little bit about how great of a Division I baseball player you were in the batting cages there. So you left that part out.
Yes, extraordinary. So thank you, my friend. And we will leave the stories, but bottom line is, did the program work out well for you back when you took it 15 years ago?
Oh, very well, very well. Every time that someone asks me about it, I give you the 100% credit for it.
No, thank you, brother. You did a beautiful job. So we won't go into, for cross-examination purposes, some of the beautiful, phenomenal, integrity-based relationships you've created, but fantastic job. And Bob Zach came in as like, this isn't for me. I'm not a business developer. And he took that same level of mastery as a pool player and applied it to this in the professional domain, and has created so many incredible relationships, and is one of the most respected people in his field in the state of New Jersey, and certainly in northern New Jersey. So thank you, Bob, for being here.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah. So who else we have, Vivian?
I'm just always impressed by you, Sean. I didn't know you played pool, but is there anything that Sean can't do?
There are many things I can't do, and the list is way longer than things I can. So for the sake of time, I won't go through them all. But yes, I would make a funny joke, but it may not be funny. So, but I will think about it and see if I drop it later. So please go ahead.
I know you're a professional Twizzler eater, right?
I'm a professional Twizzler eater. Yes, absolutely.
We have Ira Rosen, and he is in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is nice and beautiful and spa fabulous, as he was talking about, and he golfs also. He is the co-founder of Mojo Global, has created numerous amazing LinkedIn products, helping tens of thousands of entrepreneurs transform their businesses and their lives. Ira is ardently driven to see his clients succeed and reach their best potential. With his passionate medical team, they've coached and mentored thousands of individuals to win their battle with losing weight, getting their health and self-esteem back. This year, Ira co-founded a new exciting company regarding telemedicine and remote patient monitoring. Welcome, Ira.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ira, how are you? Welcome back, my friend.
Yeah, great to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to clarify, so going to LeGrand Pizza in the Scottsdale area and eating pepperoni pizza, sourdough pepperoni pizza with extra cheese, and having like caramel gelato, that is part of your recommended dynamic for losing weight. Is that correct, sir?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Sean, is I'm going to next trip over there, I'm going to order exactly what you just told me, and I'm going to eat it in I'm going to take a photo of it. I'm going to snap a shot, send it over to you in your honor. How's that?
Ira, if you could add one more thing to it. So when we go to LeGrand, I also typically got, because remember, I may have shared this last time, we have the largest jury verdict in the state of Arizona,
yes,
I believe in the past decade. So in celebration of that jury verdict and some of our other prep time, a cherry Coke from LeGrand was also in order. And I've never seen a cherry Coke with more cherries in it than LeGrand. They put like 20 cherries in it. So if you could add a cherry Coke to that mix, that would be a beautifully dynamic final piece of it.
I got it. That's I'm gonna take notes on this. I didn't know they had the cherry Coke over there, but now I'm curious.
Yeah. And you have to, by the way, take your blood sugar before and after, and then 6 hours later, and watch what happens to your biochemistry. So thank you, Ira, for being here.
Thank you.
And Vivian, certainly last but not least.
Finally, a girl to join me right now.
Finally.
Krista Spinelli, also from Newark, New Jersey. And she's a workers' comp medical provider, attorney at Callagy Law for over a year now. In time, Krista has recovered over $1 million for Callagy Law medical provided clients, and she can say the alphabet backwards at lightning speed, and I want to hear it.
True. It's true.
Krista, is that true?
Yeah, I think that's actually how I got the job.
That's right. I do remember you doing this. Now,
Yes.
let's not do the entire thing, but can you go like 10 letters?
Yeah, ZYXWVUT.
Very impressive. Welcome, Krista.
You didn't even know I did it. That's how fast I did it.
Wow, that's amazing. So listen, yeah, with that said, thank you, Krista. Let's get ready to roll and start dropping in. I think Chuck and David both have some familiarity with like what we're doing here. In case you know, this conversation is going to be split down the middle. The first half of the conversation is 3 minutes long, and in the middle, oh my goodness, our fantastic role player, Vivian. Who do we have with us?
Oh, we have Frank Clark, Mr. Orange crushing it.
The one and only Frank
The
Clark.
one and only.
The one and only Mr. Orange Movement, Mr. Frank Clark, successful entrepreneur, business person, transforming lives, like the creator of his own movement, dominating and taking over the room as the Orange personality. By the way, Frank, in case people don't know it, what's like Mr. Orange all about?
Mr. Orange is about being a highly driven, highly passionate, highly successful, all about winning, all about helping other people get what they want. It's the 5th level in the spiral dynamic science. And it's all about the levels of consciousness. And it's actually the first level in that science that breaks out of being more egocentric and becomes ergocentric, which is a true giver and understanding that our success is predicated on the success of others. No. And I embrace that energy. I love that. I love the spirit of entrepreneurism. I love that whole, any of that, capitalist, making money, growing businesses, and teaching people how to do the same and winning.
And you're training, coaching, developing people at this point, plus still a successful entrepreneur in your own right from companies you founded and have grown, correct?
Correct. Still doing it. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, brother.
I love it.
So, yeah. So what's going to happen is David and Chuck are going to be talking to Frank about something. They'll decide in a moment for 3 minutes. In the first section, it's going to be about judges opening the listening. So that the assessment from round 1 is how optimally our wonderful participants open up Frank's listening, have Frank feel that they are congruently unique, just from the way they're listening to him and connecting with him, so that he becomes curious. Because in the second round, they're going to describe a little bit about themselves, what they do, and how they're going to solve whatever the thing that they brought out from Frank in the first round through connecting with him and put at stake. In the second round, they're going to solve that challenge and get to a yes. To be clear, there's no need to quote unquote sell anything, right? Because all sales is educating, training, influencing, communicating. These are all synonymous words. So it could be simply that they want to have a longer conversation. So it could be this 6-minute conversation leads to a yes for a longer conversation. It could lead to an ultimate yes to buy something. It could be a book deal, a movie deal. It could be to contribute to a charity. It could be anything that these folks want. What I always say to participants is, hey, make it be something, my suggestion doesn't have to be that you're truly interested in getting a yes out in the world. Or it could be totally fictional for fun. You could end up selling, rights to fly to Mars for the rest of eternity from the planet Earth. Whatever Chuck and David want. But again, I think it could be more beneficial for them, for everybody, if it's in the context of something they're up to in the world. Okay, so with that said, Chuck, you're physically where today?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. Texas is always all over the Real Raw. Like it should be like the Real Raw, Texas, even more than New Jersey. It's represented. Unbelievable. And David, you are in New Jersey, correct?
Correct.
All right, awesome. So Chuck, you're the away team, and I'm going to mix it up, right? So I either have a 2 or a 1 under the table. What do you think?
Oh, got to go for the 1.
It is a 1. Boom. People have been like pretty hot lately picking that number. Excellent job, Chuck. So you want to go first in round 1 or second. If you go first, David has choice in the second round. If you go second, you retain choice.
I'd love to go first, please.
Woof, Chuck throwing it down. All right. And what's our scenario? Who would you like Frank to be, himself or somebody else?
Oh, himself.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Any scenario, like do you know each other or you don't, or like it just as is?
Well, I know of the legend of Frank. I've seen him in action. I've seen Orange on Full Tilt. And I would just say being his true authentic self. And if there's anything that is of interest or that he is, I know he's passionate about a lot of things. I like to know areas where he's finding some challenge right now.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So would you like to drop in there? Like you guys kind of met, you said, hey, let's catch up and have a 6-minute conversation.
Absolutely.
Kind of plan chat. Cool. All right. Any other questions, Chuck?
Not at all.
All right. Frank, are you ready?
I'm ready.
3 minutes. Please take us in, sir.
Outstanding. Hey, Frank, how you feeling, brother?
I'm doing great, Chuck. How are you? Great to
I'm
see you
wonderful.
again.
Thank you. It's wonderful to see you as well. I wish it was in person. Your energy is always so infectious, and I just love the way that you show up, brother.
No, thank you, man. Likewise.
Thank you. It sounds like you've been extremely busy in a lot of your different enterprises and programs that you've been working on. I'm curious to find out, Frank, because a lot of times we hear about everyone's accolades. I would love to know your approach towards anything in life right now that you may be finding just a bit challenging.
Well, I think the thing that challenges me the most, Chuck, is time management. I'm involved in so many things. And, when you're creating a movement or you're creating just a brand, you become a little bit popular in that brand, everyone's tugging at you a little bit, right? And because I come from a space of wanting to help, wanting to give, wanting to make sure everybody's happy, that nuance and that new kind of feeling is interesting. And I can't give all my time to everybody. So it's
Sure.
Managing what's more, a higher priority, I guess.
How do you, and that's a great question, because at times when you're a giver and that comes across in your heart and the way that you show up, and not just one thing, I will just say, knowing what I know about you and literally every facet of your life, what's some of the things that you're doing to fill back up for you? Because it's real easy to get stuck in the givings. How are you filling back up?
Well, I fill up by working out. I fill up by, making sure that I take time every single day for gratitude.
Nice.
I have a brand new grandson. He's only 6 months old. So I like
Congratulations.
to, once we get back on the plane again, get up to Boston, I'd love to see him again. So yeah, filling myself up with my friends, my gratitude, exercise, try to keep a full balanced life.
Oh, that's amazing. And right now with social distancing, I can only imagine, new grandson. So there's a little bit of that tugging at the heartstrings. And how are you finding it? Because I know you do a lot on social media as well, but how are you finding that interaction When I've seen you in many instances, it's been online, but I've also seen you in environments and how, again, you have a gravity to you. How are you finding that social distancing is affecting your energetic flow at this time?
Well, it changes it a little bit. Obviously, the dynamic of having physical touch, is taken away to some degree. But the power of this type of media, Zoom, to be able to see somebody, hear them, feel their energy, that's amazing. So it's taken over for that, and it's at some level it's rewarding enough. I got to bounce in about 30 seconds or two, Chuck. I hate to cut you off.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I appreciate you being so vulnerable and exposing some of these things too, because oftentimes we only see the bright side. I would like to ask you one other thing too, and that is, in that energetic connection, are you finding that is something that's absolutely systemic to what is necessary in business right now too, and what you're doing as far as your contribution to work in that area?
Oh, absolutely. I believe that the number one goal in any company is culture. Culture first. Marketing, sales, all that stuff is secondary to having a great culture. Culture with your clients, culture with your staff, putting yourself second and just going for it in that direction. Great everything.
God bless you, Frank. I mean, I appreciate your time and again, just your openness. These gems that you've been sharing are just invaluable. Thank you for that,
Chuck.
brother.
Appreciate it, man.
It's a pleasure.
Excellent job, Chuck. So we'll cut it there and pick up short. Chuck, how did that feel for you, my friend?
I can feel an energetic connection with Frank immediately. I mean, the sincerity, you can see it in his eyes. And when you start talking about, and thank you for sharing about your grandson. I'm a huge family man. And for me, that's one of the main reasons why I get up every day is that love and that connection. So I know you're a guy that walks the talk, and I feel like I'm talking to a kindred. So I really appreciate that energetic connection as well.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Frank, if you had one word for the encounter with Chuck, what would that word be?
Comfortable.
Comfortable. Awesome. All right, David, are you ready, sir?
I am.
All right. Please, what would you like the scenario to be?
Yeah, Frank, you could be yourself, and let's just say that it's an unfortunate that you've been charged with a crime.
Okay.
And this is your first crime that you've been charged with, and you're unfamiliar with the process.
Okay.
And we are setting up a Zoom because of quarantine now. This is going to be our first time to speak.
And
Okay.
what would you, David, what would you like the crime to be?
Let's call it a financial crime.
Cool.
Financial fraud in state court.
Got it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, Frank, this is a different spin. Right?
Yes, it is. I am familiar with something like this, John, personally, so I can relate.
Okay.
Listen, who doesn't like this on the Real Raw? Like, this is like pretty like, cool. So, are you ready, Frank?
I think so.
All right. Drama is afoot. Take us in.
There you go. Well, Frank, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, David.
I'm a former prosecutor, so I just want to let you know from the onset, I've been on the other side. And that is critical to this conversation and how we're going to proceed and explain this process that may be unfamiliar to you. So just from the beginning, just tell me, what is it that bothers you most about your present situation?
Well, what bothers me the most about the present situation is the distraction, mainly from what's true to me and what's going on in my life, my businesses. The distraction financially of what's this all going to cost me to defend something that I know I didn't do, and again, the public image, how that's tarnishing when I'm just building a brand of love and connection and drive. All of those things are actually pissing me off, to be honest with you.
Right. Those are all fair concerns. And let me just address a couple of them. First of all, with respect to public perception, that may be something we really can't control at this point because you have rights. And it's important not to speak about these allegations or these facts because the government, they have the burden to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. And I know just from my review of this discovery, we have a lot of great defenses here, and I think they got it wrong. But we can't necessarily just go out there and start screaming from the rooftops because we got to let this process take its course.
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Also, listen, it's not about what you did. It's about what they can prove, right? This is America and there are American flags for a reason. There's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. The government has that ultimate proof and we're going to hold them to it. All right. As former prosecutors, we're here for you and we have your back. Also, with respect to your time, that is going to be a challenge. Don't get me wrong, but you have to compartmentalize things, okay? Because this could be on your mind 24/7. And trust me, I'm talking to people that are going through the process now, and the best thing that you could do is be able to put this off to the side, get your legal team in place so that you have the trust and faith in them, and then do what you do best, which is get out there, work with your team, be a part of your family. So those are just some things that jump out at me. Do you have any questions about some of the things we've covered already?
Well, I'm sure as we go through the process, and I got to bounce in 30 seconds, but as we go through the process, I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of questions about this. This is the first time I've ever even been arrested for anything. Or under trial, or, even exposed it to any degree like this. So, there's a lot of questions I probably have for you that are just nervous based rather than even factual based.
There's going to be a lot of questions that you have, and we're here for those questions.
Right.
My team will be ready, willing, and able to answer those questions. And the first thing that I want to do with you is put together what's called a mitigation package so that we could educate the prosecutors as to who Frank really is. They got this wrong. They need to know about you, your family, some of your hardships, and what you've made of your life to this far.
That'd be great, David. Hey, listen, I got to bounce, but let's catch up again later, okay? Thank you.
Thanks for talking.
Appreciate it, man.
You got it.
Thank you, David. Excellent, sir. David, how'd that feel for you?
Good. This is my wheelhouse. This is what I deal with on a regular basis. And the concerns that Frank articulated are very common concerns for anybody that's charged with crimes, be it someone who's not have a history and someone that has. They're all important to deal with, especially at the onset of representation, so that really we could set boundaries and expectations for these clients.
Awesome. Frank, if you had one word for your encounter with David, what word?
Informed. Informed.
Cool.
Yeah, he was informative.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to turn to the judges, and we're going to start with Mr. Zach to begin with. And Bob, what we're, again, scoring on in this section is really steps 1 and 2 from back in the day of our integrity-based human influence model, right? The emotional rapport building, how open is the listening, and second, like something being at stake. Like that's what the scoring is on in this round 1. So Bob, maybe a couple sentences on what you saw from each of these fine gentlemen that worked well, a couple sentences on what could be optimized. And if we could, let's start with Chuck, please, Bob.
Okay, Chuck, I thought the tone was really good. His voice went up, his voice went down. It made you really listen to what he was saying. Good questions, very good questions that he was asking. Good to bring up the grandson. Once he mentioned the grandson, Chuck went into that and asked a follow-up question regarding that. And also, I like the way he ended. Appreciated the time, and just really sounded very sincere.
Awesome, awesome. Any growth opportunities?
I didn't really. I thought it was really good. No,
Awesome.
I thought he really did a great job.
Wow, that's excellent. And what'd you have for a score then on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would give him I'd give him a 9.
Awesome, very good. And what'd you have for David, Bob?
David, I had. I can read my writing here. Basically, the feeling I got from David is that he has your back. Him and his firm have your back. They understand what's going on. They've had a lot of cases, and they have your back on that. I thought maybe he might have spoken a little bit too much regarding what he does. I think he maybe could have asked a few more questions to get a little bit more out of him. He sounded very competent, so I felt comfortable with him representing me. And also very knowledgeable. So those are the comments I had for both of them.
Cool. And what'd you have for a score for David?
I would give David I would probably give David a 6.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Ira, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah. So what do you have for Chuck?
I like Chuck's demeanor. I liked his body language. This here, which I know you do all the time, which is authentic. Your tonality, the questions you ask, I thought were really well well stated. And I just think the feeling that Frank got from talking to you was, I think you left him in a little better place than when you started the conversation. So I thought it was done very well.
All right. And what'd you have for a score?
I give Chuck a 9.
Very nice. And how about for David?
David, I thought was very competent. He was reassuring Frank of, I know how you feel. I've been in that situation. I've had lots of clients, building up to trust. I think there was a lot of empathy there. I felt that possibly as an opportunity maybe to slightly soften the tonality of the voice. I think that would have been, I think everything you said was great, but I think maybe just the tonality, maybe a little softer I thought would have been an opportunity. But overall, I thought it was very good. And I'd give David a 8.
Very nice. And remembering that some say, right, some studies show that 55% of communication is our body language, as we know from our dear friend Jan Hargrave. 38% are our vocal qualities, everything from our tonality, our pausing, our inflection, our speed, pitch, right, all of those things. And 7% are our words. So 93% of our communication lies outside of our exact words. So that was awesome, Ira. Thank you. And Krista, what do you got besides the alphabet going backwards and recovering tons of money from medical providers?
Busy.
What's up?
So for Chuck with Frank, I think that Frank appeared to be generally comfortable speaking to you, Chuck. I think you had a lot of positive energy, which was good because otherwise I think the conversation might have became monotonous, but I think your energy kept it positive. Overall, I went with a 9 for Chuck.
Awesome.
And
Chuck throwing up some big numbers today on the real.
Yeah, I think straight 9s.
Beautiful.
Right?
That is a rarity. That is a very rarefied territory. So beautiful job, Chuck.
Good job, Chuck. And then for David, immediately I felt like I could trust him as an attorney. He knew what he was talking about. He's been through this. He seemed very knowledgeable. I like that Frank used the word informed. I don't really think I heard Frank talk that much, though. That was my only comment on there. It was mostly David. But it was very informative, so I get why. But that's my feedback, and I went with an 8.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so quick dropping on that. Thank you, Krista. Beautiful job, Chuck and David. Thought, when we talk about integrity-based human influence, we talk real quick dropping in about 4 steps and 10 indispensable elements, right? So if you think of a conversation, and forgive 1, 2, 3, make a 4th, right? I think that created more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have step 1, we call emotional rapport building. There's 3 levels. There's surface, there's real, and there's emotional, right? So it's when we get to the emotional part that listening truly opens authentically. That's where listening truly opens authentically. At the surface, it's like just, a very bantering greeting type level. Real is where there's a communication about actual subject. Oh, you like baseball, I like baseball. Emotional is where we start talking about Frank's grandson, and listening, a heart opens. And there's like a 2-way dynamic of energy being transferred at an emotional level. The second step, right, 2, is where we are establishing what is pain and what somebody's strategies to say yes. So something becomes at stake. You're like, well, that doesn't sound very nice, putting people in pain. Well, unfortunately, people do a lot more to avoid pain than gain pleasure. So if there's not pain in play for people, decisions aren't made the same way. People don't accept benefits. They seek to avoid pain. And one of the greatest challenges that people have in saying yes to you is they really fear 2 things: failure and rejection. So, and failure is so underrated, in my humble opinion, because people are always like, oh, people don't want to get rejected. They don't want to put themselves out there. Leave that aside. A lot of times, and that's very, very real, but failure is also very real. So often, the reason that people don't go to certain places in a conversation and even seek out to have conversations with certain types of people is that we have a primal fear of having the resources that we deploy not optimally utilized. And we want to conserve resources, right? See work of Allison Armstrong, for example. talking about these topics. So when we're conserving our resources in our communication, we often don't go to emotional rapport building. We often don't put pain at stake, and we more simply stay in a comfort zone of benefit throwing, if we could even get that far. So assuming we get to a certain level of progression in our communication influence skill set, we're often just benefit throwing, as opposed to establishing emotional rapport, putting pain authentically and genuinely to access, because it's the pain of not saying yes that's going to overcome our fear of failure and rejection in the process, right? For the other person's fear of failure and rejection. So at step 3 is where we're going in this next round, is where we convey our heroic unique identity and our agreement formation, which is ultimately the yes, right, that we are seeking. So that's just a couple of quick thoughts on that generally. Where I would tie that into what I saw in round 1 is to the comments of these wonderful judges. I think where they were noting with David that David had so much congruence, so much energy, so much certainty. Frank's heart, however, may not have been quite as open as I think it otherwise could. So Frank, would you, let's just talk to that, because David's amazing, he's incredible, and this is a very complex dynamic in 3 minutes, but how, scale of 1 to 10, how in play was your heart in that conversation?
I'll be a 3.
Okay, and how in play was it in the conversation with Chuck?
A 9 or 10.
Yeah, so a couple of minor distinctions, right? So, for example, hey Frank, I'm hearing this is your first arrest. How are you feeling?
Scared.
Good. Share, please. How are you feeling?
I'm shit scared. I'm not gonna lie. This is really.
Yeah. So once we got ready, so him saying "s scared," right? And it's okay. That you share. I drop f-bombs all over the place. I try to avoid in the real world for me, but no, do whatever you want. It's all good. Okay. You're authentic. You saying "s scared," right? How authentic did that feel for you?
It felt real. That's really what's going on for me.
Yeah. So wow. So I'm hearing that. What's happening at home? How is this affecting the dynamics?
Well, it's stressful in my marriage. It's stressful in my diet.
That's it. So two questions. How emotionally connected do you feel in 5 seconds?
Oh, very, because you're touching on my pain, but you're acting like you're concerned about it.
Yeah, because now here's indispensable element number 1 of integrity-based human influence is to love people unconditionally with boundaries. So I do care, and I'm 100% sure that Chuck and David care, 100%. What can show up though for people is David is there so desiring to use his heroic level of mastery in the courtroom to take care of Frank, heroic level, like David, scale of 1 to 10, what is your certainty that Frank, if accused of a crime, financial crime, that he did not commit, what is your level of certainty on a scale of 1 to 10 that you are the man that should be handling it?
10.
Yeah. I'd go
10,
with
10. Those are my favorite clients.
Yeah, I go with a 13. I get it, right? And I know that by just organizing the communication in a slightly distinct way, there's this heart connection that develops for Frank. So those 2 questions, Frank, scale 1 to 10, what did you feel like our heart connection was?
No, a solid 8 anyways.
Yeah, we just started, right?
Yeah.
We just started. In 3 minutes, you'd be talking about your grandson, your fear of loss, what's at stake. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then it moves into the second round, right? And that's why we bifurcate down the middle, is where our suggestion and our model is where David drops in with his heroic amazingness. Because he is heroic. He is amazing, right? And he drops in there to satisfy, right? And remember, we're talking about all massively successful people with micro distinctions to create even more exponential level of success. So thank you for that. David, does that land, or how does that land for you?
No, it makes perfect sense. And sometimes I get wrapped into what I'm going to do, how I'm going to help, trying to give them solutions, when I probably should have spent the 3 minutes on really just asking specific questions and then using the second part to really get into how I'm going to help.
Yeah, and this is, by the way, so thank you, because I'm sure you connect at incredibly deep heart levels all the time. And so what you gave us is a gift, right? Because of the time format and the stress of the gamification of this, it creates an access for a conversation. So thank you for that, your vulnerability, your courage in being here. And you did a beautiful job anyway, but that was a beautiful access point to demonstrate for people, because you probably watched it and saw it. And like each of the judges, like, hey, you know, David talked a little bit more. And in those micro distinction moments, we can completely change the contours, not only of a direct client interaction, but in who decides they want us to come on their TV show, who decides they want us to come on their stage, who, like Chuck on Tony Robbins or David on national television. Those are incredible stages with microphones that these two gentlemen both enjoy and have been entrusted with and are privileged to enjoy because of their integrity-based influence. So the same is for all of us, for me, for you, in these micro nanosecond distinctions where a mastery can slip or we can move outside the formula a bit. It could change the ability for people to say yes to us in a real way. It has for me, it will for you, and that's what we're here to do. So thank you for that. So Chuck, what's present for you, sir?
You know, it's amazing to just hear the feed forward and to see in such a short period of time the sphere of influence that anyone can have with another human being. And to your point, Sean, as you had mentioned, it really comes down to presence and understanding where the other person is energetically as well. You know, I pride myself on listening very well, but what I'm really trying to feel is where Frank's energetic center is as well. And that's with anyone that we're ever having a connection with. If it's a conversation with my kids, you know, my beautiful spouse, and being fully present, not just hearing, but listening to what is going on. Mm-hmm. And again, I want to thank Frank and actually everyone here, but vulnerability is such an asset and a gift. And unfortunately right now there's a lot of guarding going on. And that's kind of where I've been living, is trying to help people find their true internal strength by simply breathing and letting go of any kind of disempowering story that they may be hanging on to. So I've been spending a lot of my hours during the day supporting not just loved ones, but businesses and other people in finding their true selves. And it's been such a gift. It has been such a gift. So, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you all. Thank you.
No, thank you, Chuck, and doing such a beautiful job and for reminding all of us that critical dynamic of being fully present. So thank you, brother. So round two, would you like to go first or second?
Is that to me? I thought David had the...
No, you chose to go first in round one, so you retain choice.
No, you know what? I'd like to keep David in flow. David, if you'd like to go first, please be my guest.
Sounds good. I will.
All right, so David, this round is where you can do anything you want, right? It's your time. So in those 3 minutes, what you're being scored on is how you're satisfying and solving for Frank's pain. You could touch on it more deeply if you like, don't have to, but you're satisfying his pain, because that's all you're being scored on, with how effectively you convey who you are, what you do, whatever heroic stories that demonstrate the characteristics that people would authentically be pulled towards, right there. And then ultimately the yes, and the yes could be to hire you, it could be for a longer meeting, whatever you like. So Any questions, David?
I'm sorry, I missed that last one.
Hey, I'm sorry, any questions?
Oh, no questions.
All right, take us in, sir.
All right, Frank. Good to see you again. And
Hey,
listen, was there one thing that you want me to address with you in this 3 minutes that we didn't cover in the first three?
Well, the first 3 minutes, David, I heard a lot about your capability, which is impressive. You know, your firm has a great name, and obviously you have a great history of success. But I also know a lot of lawyers. You know, I have some friends. I'm a CEO, been one for 30 years. I know a lot of legal people, and you know, why would I get involved with you, other than obviously the great resume and you know, the referrals?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's one thing to be a kick-ass lawyer in the courtroom, but that's not just us. And when we talked last, I talked about this mitigation package that I really want to emphasize for you, because there are great things in your life that we have to present, right? Successful business owner, you have a family, and you've done great things. And these prosecutors, they don't know you. That's the problem. As a former prosecutor, I would get that file, open it up. It'd be bad guy, bad girl stuff, police reports, confessions, videos. They don't know you. So that's what we're going to tease out. And I think that's where we're different. How does that sound to you?
Well, it sounds impressive. Again, you know, you guys have a great pedigree. You guys have a great history. You were referred by a friend. So you have that going for you right away. I guess, my concern obviously is how much it's going to cost me, how much time do I need to be spending on this thing? Because, I'm stretched so thin as it is already. I would hope that you guys would help me manage with the stress part of it. I'm hoping that you got some tips on that one too.
Critical. It's critical. It's not just us though. We have a team, and I'd like to get you to a counselor that can help you with some of these questions. Get on a regular schedule, and also I have a book for you. It's called The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. I actually trained with Dr. Brene Brown, and it's important to know that you don't have to be perfect. There are problems in people's lives. And it's great that you need to move forward and understand that this is not going to be who you are. There's much more to you. And we're going to not only present it to the prosecutor, but I want you to believe it, Frank. This is going to be a process. There's going to be ups and downs. Okay? Don't get too high. Don't get too low. Let's get through this together. And at the same time, it is important that you do speak with someone else and make sure that you're grounded through this process.
Oh, that's understandable, David. I appreciate that. But I got to bounce in about 30 seconds, though. I got another call coming in that I have to take.
It's a pleasure to meet you. And I'd like to bring in my staff, too, for our next call, because I think it's important not only that you speak to me, but you speak to my partner, Bob Bianchi, my personal assistant, Robert Estes, and we have a team of people that will be behind you throughout this entire process. And we'll make sure that we get the right result for you. No guarantees. One thing we'll guarantee is the effort that we will deliver to assist you in these problems.
Awesome. Looking forward to meeting your team.
Look forward to
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Very nice work, David. David, how'd that feel for you?
Yeah, it felt good. I wish I would have taken a lot of my content in the first 3 minutes and applied it here in this.
Right.
But no, it's again, this is a familiar conversation that I'm having with Frank here. It is very common for anybody that is charged with a crime, with all the uncertainty, not only potential prison time, financial stresses, and what it looks like for their lives, that we can speak to them about not only handling their legal case, but also addressing some of their other issues that could be dealt with by therapists and counselors.
Awesome. Well, thank you, David. Hey, one word from you, Frank, for your encounter with David.
I would say I just want to say comprehensive.
Cool.
Competent came through, I guess, quite a bit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Chuck, are you ready, my friend?
Yes, sir.
Hey, let's take us in, please.
Outstanding. Hey, Frank, how you feeling, brother?
Good, Chuck. How you doing?
Awesome, man. Can I ask a huge favor, just for both of us?
Sure.
Would you mind just taking a huge deep breath in through your nose real quick? And just blow it out. You look like you were carrying a little tension, man. I don't know what kind of conversation you were involved in just a moment ago.
I was on the phone with my lawyer, possibly.
You know what? And I'm sure you got a lot of great information, and it was extremely valuable. At the center of everything that's going on in our universe is us. And I want to thank you absolutely from the center of my heart, because it's not easy to come into an environment like this and be as open and as heart-centric as you have been with me and present during this conversation. I need to ask for your help, though, if that would be kind of cool, if you don't mind. Because I know as a CEO, I need one more thing, Chuck. So here's my question. It's actually a very simple one. When you get stressed, because I know you can't manifest more time, where does your mind go? Where does your heart go when you are in that space for that moment? Because I know you don't stay there long. I've seen you in action.
Yeah. The first place my mind goes is, am I getting stressed or am I doing stressed? And is this a real problem?
Nice.
So, I analyze things in terms of what's real, what's fantasized. And then I ask myself a better question. How can I see the better part of this? How can I, find what's good about this situation right now? How can I manifest greatness through this situation or through this stressful moment?
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Where do you find your heart goes? where? Because I know you'd be much more than just an intellectual. There's a heart-centric aspect to you too.
Well, my heart goes, I guess when it's happening right away, is my heart goes to the universe. It goes to God. It goes to, however I'm going to channel the energy and the information that I need to get so that I get the right answers, in that moment. I guess that's what,
that's
you know.
great. Oh, that's awesome, man. So if I coined it, and correct me if I'm incorrect, gratitude is like a huge aspect of where you allow your heart to go, like that faith, that gratitude.
Yeah.
Because we're all guided, right? If we're listening, we're swimming in the sea of energy.
That's exactly right.
You mentioned earlier that what part of the challenge is about being able to manage time.
Correct. Yeah.
And if there was a way that we could get your intellect, your heart, like the spirit of who Frank Clark is out there on a daily basis, where it was easy to manifest, would that be something that would be valuable to you?
Well, absolutely. Time is consideration, you know, and I got to even let you go in 30 seconds. I hate.
Oh, no, that's brilliant. So I just want to go ahead and throw a tickler out there for you. Sure. A very dear friend of mine started a movement, and she started putting out these text messages that auto roll out to people. And so as they get up in the morning, they get a personalized message from her and her movement. How brilliant would that be? Like the thought of the day where you actually, based on life's conditions, what's going on, that once a week you actually sit down and manifest these things and have them auto uploaded. But when you're doing them, you're in that beautiful state of gratitude and grace and guided, momentum. And people can get a little bit of Frank every day.
I would love that. I got to bounce, Chuck. Thanks. I got a call coming in, but yeah, I'm interested. That
we'll
sounds great. Okay, brother. Thank you.
Sounds good. Take care, my friend.
Ciao.
Excellent.
Awesome job, guys.
Yeah.
Excellent work. So what would you say, Chuck, was present for you?
Oh, for me, again, it's just, I just love seeing this guy's face light up anytime you start talking about where his head and heart go, because he just links to it so quickly. You could tell it's an authentic part of his identity and not just something he does because he has to, because he gets to. Yeah. And that comes across.
And could you share with everybody why you had Frank take the breath?
To reset, there was a little bit of tension. I was just looking at where his shoulders were. He was breathing shallow. And after that one deep breath, he smiled. Motion creates emotion. And so when we can engage our physicality, that's something that he does on a regular basis. And as human beings, we forget to breathe. We forget the essential things that we need. Most of the time, we have these wants that we're trying to chase instead of meeting the needs. And as far as I'm concerned, oxygen is the number one need that you have on this planet. Because without it, you won't be with us for very long.
It beats the pizza and the caramel ice cream? I don't know.
Well, but I go on record as saying that when I heard Sean and Ira having their exchange, I was like going, happiness does start from within. And so if that's a gustatory interaction, I'm not judging, I'm just saying.
Oh my God, that's so funny. So let's start with Ira this time. So Ira, what did you have for David?
Okay, I thought David, I thought you were very reassuring. I like how you brought up the counseling. You seemed like you were more empathetic to Frank on the second time here, and I think you were more in touch with him. And it felt a little different, and I felt there was a more. I'm guessing that Frank had a heightened connection than he did on the first 3 minutes. But I thought you did a great job.
Thank you, Ira.
Awesome. And what'd you have for a score, Ira?
I'm going to give David another 8.
Very nice. And how about for Mr. Chuck?
Okay, I really liked how Chuck started off with the deep breath. I thought that was excellent. It's a great pattern interrupt to kind of just gets him centered. It kind of gives you control of the situation. Not that that's what you're going for, but just you wanted to have him feeling good. And I just love the questions that you asked him and the way you asked them, and great probing questions that you were asking him. And it was very sincere. And I thought the connection that you had with Frank was very good. And I think everybody could feel that. So I thought it was well done, very successful.
Awesome. And for a score?
I give Chuck a 9 on that.
Beautiful. All right. Krista, what'd you have for David?
Okay. For David, I saw a better effort at making the emotional connection with Frank. I can't put my finger on exactly why, but it just seems like all business kind of. the vibe that I'm getting. Is I'm not seeing that emotional rapport as much. It seems like it's mostly business, like here's a book or here's counseling, you know, for your pain type of thing. I didn't see you like kind of jump on that opportunity as much as you could have there.
Yeah.
So I went with an 8.
So let me jump in real quick, Krista. So that's the fun of the formula. So we can put our finger on it, right? So what, to me, we're experiencing a ton of from David is what I call Zeus energy. Zeus energy is the energy of decision. It's a beautiful energy. It's what creates, it's what builds. It's what moves forward, like to decide, right? Decidre, like to decide. So there's a lot of decision, beautiful decision energy in David. It's like, this is what we do, then this is what we do, then this is what we do. Decision. Goddess energy, on the other hand, is the energy of flow, of like presence, as Chuck was referring to, of love. So from Chuck, there was I think a tremendous balance of Zeus energy. Hey, Frank, take a breath. Like, let's take a breath. That's Zeus energy, right? It was a decision. It was an instruction with permission, right? But it was a decision. There was also this like presence of connecting energetically. So when Goddess and Zeus flow back and forth, we have a beautiful dynamic of influence. And then you add in the other two energies of influence, aspirational energy, which is the energy of like a place to go. Like we're going somewhere, right? And then fun energy, because people like to have fun and we entertain, have fun, critically important. So this is a tough 6-minute dynamic to enter into fun, but there was some sprinkling of fun energy. It's a little bit different for David in his scenario, criminally. That's more challenging. If that opportunity opens, and there could be a moment of laughter between the people. It wasn't really present in this dynamic. But when we have all 4 fun, aspirational Goddess Zeus energy in a flowing dynamic together, that's, Krista, when we feel like, yeah, there's depth of connection, but there's also influence present. Does that make sense, Krista?
Makes sense for me, Sean, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah, no, thank you. So, Krista, any other, please, what else do you have?
Did I give my score for David? I went with an 8.
Okay, tremendous. And how about for Chuck?
Okay, so for Chuck, I'm just getting level 5 listening all day. Like, I think that's the thing that's making such a difference. I think it's invaluable. I think, Chuck, you didn't really the opportunity to seal the deal because you were building the emotional rapport and establishing your unique identity. But I think that Frank would want to talk to you again for sure.
So what'd you have for a score?
9.
Very, very nice. Awesome. Thank you, Krista. And again, beautiful job from Chuck and David. And Bob, Zach, what do you have, my friend?
Okay, let's go with David. One of the things that, the rapport was much better. One of the things though is that there was no stories. I would have liked to hear a story about how he helped a person in the same position, and that might have done well. I think that was missing. I think a story was missing there. And then also, I think he might have cut him off once or twice when he was speaking. I caught that. And I'm not quite sure if I heard this correctly, but I think there was a question about what the fees were going to be, and I don't think that was ever answered. And again, there was no agreement. There was no next step. There was no agreement with the I'll call you. When will I call you? Is it okay if I call you? So that's what I have for David, and I gave him another 6.
Okay, awesome. And how about for Chuck?
Chuck also pretty much what everybody else had said there. I thought the breath was really, really good. And actually, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, Chuck, I'm gonna use that the next time my wife, yells at me. Also,
One energy from Bob Zach. Very nice, Bob.
Chuck, also, you did cut him off once too. I noticed that. You asked a lot of good emotional questions, and again, I didn't really see an agreement at the at the end.
So what's that for a score, Bob?
I gave him an 8.
Okay, Bob, Zach, dropping in. Thank you. So, and just a quick run through these questions. So Bob, how was your experience, and would you recommend somebody being a judge on The Real Raw?
Oh, definitely. I would love to do it again. No, I definitely, I got a lot out of it, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, sir. Ira, how about yourself?
Absolutely. No, I enjoyed it. This was my second time as a judge, and I would highly recommend it to those that that I feel would be in alignment with everything you're talking about.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Ira. And Krista.
Would like to do it again. I would recommend it, but I would also like to do it again if you ever need me to judge again.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And so, yeah, so drop in and we'll get to Chuck and David for one final, final words from them in a moment. I think what was showing up in terms of some of Bob's analysis is the dynamic of in sharing our story. So I am sure David has a story that sounds something like this. So Frank, if I could share with you a little bit about myself, would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Like after acknowledging, Frank, I know you're going through all these things. I'm hearing your pain super deeply, your fear of your family, the loss, mostly being misportrayed, falsely accused, and the massive frustration this process is going to create. No matter how effectively we support you, it's not going to give you back that time. So for that, I'm sorry, and I'm hearing you. Is it okay if I share a little bit about myself?
Absolutely.
If that's an acknowledgement, because by the way, Frank, if somebody was going through a situation like that, that's how you would be feeling, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? And that, oh yeah, rings, right? So, and then it's a little bit myself. So, as I share with you, I'm a certified criminal trial attorney. And what that means is that I'm one of a very few, just a couple hundred, in the entire state of New Jersey out of like 90,000 attorneys that are certified to be a defense attorney. And the reason I became a defense attorney was I was once a prosecutor. And I worked and I enforced the law. And I saw incredible things that occurred that were just and right. And I also saw that where there's some folks whose rights weren't optimally represented a lot of the time. I saw that in folks that were coming in the courtroom. There's many wonderful defense attorneys out there. And there were some that were less optimal. And I realized that there was in enforcing the law and the incredible power that the state has, the government has, that folks are just so outgunned and overwhelmed in so many different ways. So I want to take those skill sets, my heart, my passion, and I wanted to apply it to represent people, to protect people's rights. Not to have people who are guilty become innocent, but if people are innocent, to certainly make sure that that's the way it ends, but also to make sure that people's rights are protected because our Constitution matters. And Frank, I've done that for hundreds of people. And in fact, a couple of stories that like resonate for me and might be relevant for you is this gentleman walked in and he was falsely accused. And similar to you, he was falsely accused of financial crime. And his wife was on the verge of leaving him. She didn't believe him. His business partners cut off all ties from him. They didn't believe him. And he was facing one of the most dramatically impossible situations imaginable. And in fact, he was on the verge, he said, he was massively depressed and even on the verge of suicide. So the way we holistically work with people, and just call that gentleman, we'll call him Joe. And so the way we supported Joe was we take this incredible study of a program from Renee Brown, and it's heart-centered. And I'm going to ask you, I know it's difficult right now for you, but this is what we did with Joe, to read that book, the same as Joe did. And when Joe read it, it wasn't like everything changed, but in conjunction with that content, the counseling support that from our ecosystem partners, our relationships that Joe began to have, and the work we began to do, 3 things happened. First, Joe's wife didn't leave. Second, Joe was, believe it or not, able, despite not changing some of the opinions of the people around him, he was able to figure out who his true friends were and to drive his business forward. And the process took 18 months. And it was the 18 hardest months of Joe's life, but he made it through. And at the end of the day, he went to trial and the jury acquitted him, as they should. And Joe got his life back. And today, Joe's incredibly successful, happily married, enjoying his grandchildren. And most importantly, he said the work that he learned, not from the work we did, but we introduced him to in Renee Brown's work, was transformative for his life. And so if you go talk to any criminal defense attorney that leaves you feeling the way you're feeling right now, hire them, not us. But if you're feeling like you're in the right place, all we ask is you make that decision, because we're really confident that you are. Does that make sense, Frank?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Okay. David, how did that feel for you?
Nice job, Sean, for sure.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm going to get this video. I'm going to incorporate some of these things into my own, for
Yeah.
sure.
So David,
But no, it's fair.
is that who you are? Is that who you are?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, Bob, my law partner, really balances me out in a way, because I am more direct than Bob. I mean, I am sort of like, and I've gotten that feedback before. It's not just from this panel. Some of my clients have told me that.
Yeah.
You know, so it is important to keep that in mind for me. And it's not all business, and it is more about how I'm making the person feel than just delivering the knowledge and the information.
Yeah, and your heroic skill. I mean, you're a hero, brother, like, period. Letting people experience your listening, and as Chuck said, your presence is often the gift they want every bit as much as they want you saving their life. They want both, right? If you give them both, they will have, and they're already lined up around the block, they'll have to build, like, you know, kind of Disney style, like, you know, lineup ramps to have people from your office, right, getting into your office. So that's all, because I get who you are. I just want to share that little gift with you. So
thank you, Sean.
Yeah. Chuck, any final words for today?
What a pleasure. And again, I do take all of the feed forward very deeply. I'm blessed to be able to do what I get to do in life. And it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to come here and share, and also to get some new optics as well, because we do what we do. And I believe in having a number of different strategies. But at the end of the day, I live my life by kind of the Maya Angelou principle. People forget what you said. They'll even forget what you did. They'll always remember how you made them feel. Mm-hmm. And in order to get that connection, you just got to be present, and you got to be you. So I really appreciate this opportunity and time. Thank you so much.
Orange Movement, Unblinded, on behalf of everybody, Fernando, Vivian, David, Chuck, Frank, Bob, Ira, Krista, thanks. Have a beautiful day. Integrity-based influence is a superpower. Unlock it, use it as a force for good. Thanks.